John Daly with BQB Publishing. I'm back again today with Harry Pinkus, author of the Miles Darien detective thrillers. He has a brand new book in the series called Justified Malice. How's it going today, Harry?
It's going well, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, can you tell readers who are new to your series about who Miles Darien is? And while we're at it, can you also tell them about what Justified Malice is about?
Sure. Well, Miles Darien was born out of my first novel, which was The Kingmaker's Redemption. He wasn't the main character, but he was the uh, force behind solving the case of a person who was unjustly uh, arrested for a crime they didn't commit. And I really loved the character. I loved how he jumped off the page. And so I started the series. And he's an interesting character in that here's a New Yorker who's Jewish and gay who moves into a small Wisconsin town on an assignment and decides to stay and make it his home. And in that the process of the last book, Human Collateral, he establishes himself as the go-to private investigator in Lakeville, Wisconsin, the town I created. And he became a successful investigator and solves a very important case with the help of the FBI about an illegal loan sharking operation. So that was really key. Now, Justified Malice follows shortly after the end of that book. In Human Collateral, the bad guy, if you will, Jonathan Reese, it escapes at the end, even though his enterprise is brought down. And by a quirk of fate, um, Miles is able to be re-engaged with the FBI to search for Mr. Reese in Mexico, where the FBI can't go on its own. So that's kind of the gist of the, without giving out too much about the book.
Sounds very interesting. Now, as an author of crime thrillers, how do you go about writing your stories? Do you first shape the crime itself in your mind, or do you sort of tailor the crime to fit the broader story that you're going for?
Well, I write basically by the seat of my pants. I do have an idea of where the story arc is going to go, but well, everything that happens in between is I make up as I go along. So that's kind of my process. Um, I find that for me, writing a book about one case is too, there's just too many pages to be written to make it about one case. Also, it was important because it's a series to authenticate Miles' credentials as a private investigator. So I invent a number of crimes along the way or cases along the way that he needs to solve. And the funny part is, I create the case without knowing what the solution is going to be. So that's part of the fun for me. That's the entertainment side of it for me in the writing. But it all builds towards the ultimate case that the book is really about.
Now, you mentioned to me prior to this interview that you like to incorporate real places and real businesses into your books. Is that based on your, familiarity with them, or you also sort of like to let people know about these places that you like to sort of promote them?
Well, yes, I do like to promote the places that I like. Um, and authorship 101 is write what you know. So that's a good place to start. And there are places that I love that I would like the world to know about. And I think it's fun when you read about something in a book and you go to, in this case, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and you say, "Oh, there's that place I read about in the book. Let's give it a try." And hopefully people enjoy it. And that makes me feel good. Um, the only place in my books that's fictional is Lakeville, Wisconsin, which is the town I invented for other reasons because there are things I want to have go on there that I don't want to blame on some real community. So it's a good place for Miles to be based in. Also, part of and you as a novelist know this. Part of the fun of what we do is we get to make stuff up.
No, that's absolutely true. And you mentioned that I'm a novelist. I have found I wanted to talk about editing a little bit. I have found that I'm pretty terrible at self-editing, and so I'm always thankful for the editors our publishers provide. how do you navigate the editing process? Do you find it difficult or challenging, both to self-edit and then also work with an editor when it becomes time to do so?
I did it first, but it's a learning process, and I've turned self-editing into um, an asset. First of all, when I'm writing or sitting down to write and nothing's coming, I go back and edit the last couple of chapters, which does a number of things. It corrects some mistakes, um, makes sure that it's accurate. I don't want to have chapter 12 start on Tuesday and chapter 11 started on Wednesday. So those sorts of things are important. They also, by going back and reliving what I've already written, it helps me decide what I'm going to write next. It gives me a path. Hopefully something clicks and we go in that direction. As it relates to the formal editing process with the editor that our publisher gives me to work with, um, first of all, I'm a very impatient person. So the length of time it takes is very difficult for me. It takes 14, 15 months from the time you hand in a manuscript to you see a book being published. And so that's difficult. Um, and I have a couple of friends who are published and esteemed authors who've given me some advice about working with editors. They said, let the editor uh, have their way or guide you as it relates to form, the proper way to say something. But as it relates to the content itself, the things you want to say, the things you want to write about, that you have to stand up for yourself and push back a little bit if you're not happy with the way that's working. And I must say, as a compliment to the editors the editor I've worked with, they're usually very receptive. If you make a good case for what it is you want to say, they'll help you say it right, but they will allow it to be said. But there's also things like pacing and other things that, you know, we love everything we write. Every word we write is gold, and so they've taught me how to edit myself in the process of editing with them, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. I think, you hear many people make the point that the first book you write will always be the hardest book, and I think that actually is true with editing too. That first one will
Yes,
always be the toughest edit. I think
yeah.
you both,
Well,
you kind of grow from it.
yeah, and I don't know if you've had the same experience, but all three of my books have been edited by the same person. So you
Oh,
get a familiarity and a working relationship and a respect on both sides. So that's really helps move the ball down the field.
yeah, no, I've worked with different ones, but I know what you're saying. There's a couple different people I've had for a couple different books, but yeah, there is a relationship that forms there for sure. So, Justified Malice is your third book, I believe. Have you found that being a writer and a published author has changed people's perception of you?
Oh, most definitely. First of all, they give me far too much credit for doing something that they find impossible to do. I have speaking of more about my friends, I have one that's a very successful screenwriter and TV writer in Hollywood, and he's told me that there's no way he could ever write a book. And so people attribute a lot of respect to being able to do that, probably much more so than I deserve. And I think part of the reason for it, John, is that when we were kids and we played baseball, we could envision ourselves being in the major leagues. Although that was never going to happen, we could at least project to the point of imagining that could happen. Most people have not had an experience writing where they would imagine themselves as an author. So it's really a totally unique point of view that they don't really understand. Um, and for me, uh, writing is nourishment. The same way for other people, whatever if they like to go camping or whatever it is that they love to do, it provides a certain uh, enormous emotional well-being, state of emotional well-being. So, yes,
No,
the answer is yes.
no, I totally understand what you're saying about the nourishment. I mean, I think for me, writing is similar to my wife reading. It's sort of this pleasure that, um, for me, it's more of a creative thing. It's her, getting locked up in a story, that sort of thing. But yeah, writing really is that was a good way of describing it. And I think also too the point you made about people respecting authors. I think what they really respect is not just the creativity, but the dedication. Because I think a lot of people have tried writing, maybe not necessarily a book, but writing a story, and they understand that it's a difficult process and that it requires a lot of time and commitment. So I definitely think they respect that. And
Yeah,
speaking
and
about,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Getting back to my friend, it's the volume of writing that I think intimidates some people. Again, I have this friend who writes for a living, but he can't imagine writing 80,000 words, in one book. So, yeah, I see that.
Now, I think just something else a lot of people may not realize unless they've written a book themselves is how much self-promotion an author does to get their book in front of readers. Three books in, is this an area where you've become more comfortable in over time, or is it still kind of strange for you to self-promote?
Well, here's the irony, John. My career has been in marketing, my whole career. So I thought when I got into this, promoting my book is going to be easy. I'll just apply all the things I've done for the last few decades. And it wasn't the case. It's a totally different animal. Um, and the space that you operate in is so cluttered with so many competitors, if you will, so many other books out there, and so many people with notoriety that it's difficult. I've accustomed myself to it much more so with the social media and things of that nature. But I'm amazed at how much effort goes into generating such a little bit of a return. I mean, you really, it's incredible to me how hard it is, how much time has to be put in, and how the results are difficult to attain.
No, that's all correct. There's definitely a science to it, and it's you have at some point, when an author becomes reaches a certain level of success, they've got this huge juggernaut marketing behind them. But anybody who's starting out, who isn't this known, commodity that everybody is familiar with the name, there is a lot of work involved for sure. And the idea being that the person who wrote the book is going to understand what sort of audience is most interested in it too. But yeah, it's a tough game, and it's I remember coming into it and really, I was in, software development, online software development before this, so I had sort of the web part of it. I think I do pretty well. But yeah, it's very uncomfortable, especially at the beginning, and it kind of feels like you're out of your element quite a bit.
Right. Well, it also, I think the important thing is that you have to measure the amount of work that you do with what you want to get out of it. Um, the good news for me is that I don't write because I want to sell. I'd love to sell a million books, but that's not why I do it. Um, but you still want to maximize whatever audience is out there. You want to be able to try to capture it. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they said, "Well, you're just like John Grisham." I said, "Yeah, he's sold over 350 million books. I've sold over 35 books. So, we have the first two digits in common." Um, but yeah, it's a worthwhile activity. It helps you focus, and it's something you're doing for yourself, which is always pleasant. For the last number of years, when I do marketing, I'm doing it for somebody else's benefit, not really my own, although that you get paid to do it. But this is totally to my benefit if it happens, and also obviously the people that are involved, the publisher and the other people who participate. But yes, it's it's a lot.
Right. Those who write a book, they got to have a passion for writing. That has to be the reason for doing it. And yeah, it's yeah, I've heard people who just sort of assumed as soon as you have a book published, you're just drawing in the money, just drawing in the fame, everything. It's so for some people it's true, but yeah, for others it takes a lot of work for sure. So
Exactly.
yeah. Well, thanks. That's probably a good place to wrap things up, Harry. Always great talking to you. Can you tell people how to find out more about you and your books?
Absolutely. Well, if you want to find out more about me, you can go to my website, which is very simply harrypinkus.com. But as it relates to acquiring my books, they're available from all the typical online sources like Amazon and Rakuten and Barnes and Noble and so on. Um, but I highly recommend that you have your local independent bookstore order the books. I'm a big believer in the role that independent bookstores play in the world of literary world, and I love to see them supported. And almost all of them can order the books, and so that's the place to go.
Excellent, excellent. And everybody go out and order Justified Malice. I got to tell you, the cover is fantastic. I haven't read the book yet. The cover is fantastic. So,
Well, I
yeah,
hope
you
you like
have.
what's inside, John.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. Thanks a lot, Harry, and you have a great day. Okay.
You too.